Hello, everybody. We're back at it again. And in today's topic, I'd like to talk about documentation as far as with the IRS. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, I put everything in the mail and I document it as far as in my computer that I sent it off, the day I sent it off, and everything. Well, the IRS doesn't care. So I got some good news and some bad news. So the good news is that you can always input it in your system, but like I said, the IRS doesn't care because the bad news is that they don't go off of that information. So if you go to whenever you go to the post office, a very good piece of advice is make sure you send everything by certified mail. Certified mail says it has a tracking number. So you can go to USPS and put in that tracking number, and it'll say exactly where it's at in the post office process. The IRS can then by themselves go and validate this process. Now, whatever it does after the post office, that's on the IRS's part. So that's good. If worst case scenario, you have to send in something again and they assess a penalty or a fine or interest or anything like that, you can send them a letter and you can say, here's my USPS number and here's the letter, and send it again. Because even the IRS, they're an office like any other. So they have documents going every which direction. Things get lost in the mail, things like that. But if you have that little number, it's your get out of jail card. I would highly advise getting that information. That information is very valuable because I've known in previous situations that I've dealt with is that I would send in a certified mail of whatever tax form that's out there, and 6 weeks, 6 months later, the client would get an IRS letter, and they are say, oh well, we didn't receive this, and here's a penalty of whatever it is, and of course there's a couple things is that the client is mad because hey, they don't understand the IRS, that's why they hired you. Number two, you're mad because now you have to go out of your way, correct a problem that's already corrected. And of course, the IRS, they don't know any better because I'm sure they're receiving thousands and thousands of letters. So if you have that certification and you save it, then that'll help you out and, help you reduce the penalties or even eliminate the penalties. If you give that to your client, the client will then say, okay, cool. Well, you sent it in, but of course, they're still a little bit frothy, but as long as you have the documentation, it should get out jail card. So always remember that. That's good habits to keep. Once again, myself and my wife, we run a business, Metro Bookkeeping right here, www.metroacc.com. Check us out. Look at us further. Until next time.